It's day 18 of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's presidency, and we are monitoring closely his first 100 days in office. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Thank you for joining us on the program. Former Niger Delta agitator and prominent political figure Asari Dokubo was at the State House today to meet President Bola Tinubu. During his meeting, the former agitator accused the military of oil theft in the Niger Delta. Recall that President Tinubu had held consultations yesterday with some leaders from the Niger Delta region, including former Managing Director of the Niger Delta Development Commission, Timi Alaibe, and former Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Dakuku Peterside.
Oil theft and vandalization in the Niger Delta. We're going to work with NNPC, PCL, and the IOCs to make sure that oil theft is brought to zero. I also want to say that oil theft is encouraged by the military. The military is at the center of oil theft. And we have to make this very, very clear to the Nigerian public. 99% of oil theft can be traced to the Nigerian military, the Army and the Navy especially. The Army and the Navy intimidate the civil defense, who are, by status, the people who are supposed to guard these pipelines. They receive a lot of money from NNPC, PCL, and the IOCs, and just across the corner, you will see a houseboat. A few meters from the houseboat, you will see an oil bunkering refinery or tapping directly from oil well heads. It is very pathetic now. What is happening in the Niger Delta in the past 8 years was unprecedented in the history of oil production anywhere in the world. The vandals do not only attack the pipelines, they have migrated from the pipeline and have gone directly to the oil well heads.
Former Niger Delta agitator Asari Dokubo there earlier at the presidential villa. State House correspondent Femi Akonde is live at the presidential villa for more on that development. Femi, that's some huge indictment coming from Asari Dokubo. Did he give more clarity as to the substance of these allegations?
Nifemi, that's vintage Asari Dokubo, fearless and very vocal. Well, he said that these allegations are real because he says there's little or no collusion from members of the community because they do not have the wherewithal, they do not have the resources to steal crude oil in the manner in which it is being done in the Niger Delta. He says that these oil thieves come with huge vessels on the high sea and go directly to the oil wellheads. They have the equipment that is needed to help them siphon the oil from the wells into the vessels and then off outside the shores of Nigeria. I know these equipments are very expensive. They do not come cheap. So he is saying that members of the community have been wrongly accused of being oil thieves. He said if it's about vandalism, then indeed some members of the community might be complicit in that. But the organized crime of oil theft, the economic sabotage of stealing Nigeria's crude oil that has drastically reduced the country's oil revenue is being perpetrated by members of the military, specifically, says the Navy and the Army. We are expected to hear reactions from the Nigerian Armed Forces very soon. We expect them to react to these weighty allegations. We might also expect to see a panel of inquiry. We are expecting to see see maybe heads will roll. But one thing he has said, Asari Dokubo told us, is that he told Mr. President about this, and President Bola Tinubu, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, has promised to take decisive action to ensure that this issue of oil theft, the economic crime of oil theft, is brought to an end in Nigeria. And you know, President Bola Tinubu has also complained about this oil theft. He talked about it when he even campaigned in the Niger Delta. He has also been concerned about how this has eaten so deep into the revenue generated from the sale of crude oil in the country. Trillions of naira is lost every year to oil theft in the Niger Delta region. Asari Dokubo is saying that he is ready to help, but he said that, well, they can only help if indeed the federal government also shows that political will. And he is saying that he knows President Bola Tinubu. They have come a long way. They've had more than 3 decades of friendship and a good relationship. That he is certain that President Bola Tinubu has that political will to bring the issue of oil theft in the Niger Delta to an end. And you recall that he has always said that he should be held responsible if President Bola Tinubu fails. He reiterated that again today, that he's very sure, he's certain that President Bola Tinubu will succeed and would also be able to bring the issue of oil theft in the Niger Delta to an end. But for the military, we are waiting for their response, and we are waiting to see if indeed people will be fired, some officers will be moved from the Niger Delta to other places, or if indeed disciplinary action will be taken against people found culpable in these.
A lot of reactions are expected to trail the very bold pronouncement by the former Niger Delta agitator. He had more to say. Let's just hear him out as regards the position of stakeholders in this regard.
The president is a strong president. He's a commander-in-chief of the armed forces. He's going to take decisive action to get these rotten eggs. It's not the old army and the navy. There are a few who have this entitlement mentality. I better persona, I get power persona, I get people where they up, where go to cover me. The president is going to remove them and make it possible for the people of this country to benefit. For instance, Emefiele is gone, Bauer is gone. So more heads will roll. Those who are standing as an impediment to the good and progress of this country. The president will not dilly-dally with them. He will not do CCCC with them. He's going to put and kick them out. And when he does that, we will have the unfettered power, encouragement to get rid of oil theft, which all my brothers in the Niger Delta, all of us have agreed.
Femi, he's talking about working with stakeholders to ensure that oil theft is brought to zero. I'm just wondering in what capacity he's speaking from.
Yes, you know, he's a leader of Niger Delta activist groups. He's also a major Niger Delta activist. He has been in the front line agitating for issues in the Niger Delta, the environmental degradation, asking for compensation, asking for a fair share to be given to the people of the Niger Delta. He says there's so much deprivation in their area. So he has been a voice for the people of the Niger Delta. What he is saying now is that they are the people from the area. They come from this oil-rich community. They know who the thieves are. They know all the nooks and crannies of the creeks in the Niger Delta, and they'll be ready to partner with the federal government, with the armed forces, by providing intelligence, also following them on some kind of raids on the high sea to ensure that people who are involved in oil theft are apprehended. He also says in the area of security that they are ready and willing to partner with the federal government to ensure that the issue of security, not only in the Niger Delta, but across the country, is brought to an end. In the southeast, he talked about the north central area, and he talked about efforts that he has also put in terms of collaboration with the members of the armed forces and security agencies to nip the security situation in some parts of the country in the board. He says he's willing to continue to do that. He has so much confidence in President Bola Tinubu's ability to tackle the issue of security. He talked about the issue of security in the southeast, and he was asked if he thinks the unconditional release of the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, would bring calm or restore calm to the southeast region. He says he doesn't share that view that the leader of IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, should be held for his crime. He should be made to face the law. He says if he is unconditionally released, that would be giving a validation to criminality. That will be endorsing killings, destructions, and crimes, and also some kind of incitement to violence that Nnamdi Kanu is being accused of. So he says that Nnamdi Kanu should be made to face the law, that there are other alternatives to finding lasting peace in the southeast. He does not agree that the release of Nnamdi Kanu should be considered. Nifemi.
Absolutely. The president met with service chiefs talking about oil theft in that region of the country. He also held similar consultations with some leaders of the Niger Delta region yesterday, including former managing director of the NDDC and former director general of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. We're looking forward to see what the federal government will be able to achieve in this regard. Quickly, Femi, we understand that business mogul Aliko Dangote was at the State House today. What more have you learnt about his meeting with the president?
Well, that's a private visit to President Bola Tinubu. We don't know the details of that meeting with the president. And this is also the first time we'll be seeing him in the presidential villa to meet President Bola Tinubu since after the inauguration on the 29th of May. But, you know, he told us that he will return on Tuesday next week. He's going to come here to the presidential villa with Bill Gates. So we believe when they meet President Tinubu on Tuesday, they will discuss interventions of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in partnership with the Dangote Foundation. Their interventions in areas of healthcare, basic primary healthcare, and they would also give him a status brief about their interventions in that regard, and also forge ahead and strengthen partnership and collaboration between the federal government and the Bill, Melinda Gates and Dangote Foundation towards providing affordable, accessible, and ensuring universal health coverage in Nigeria. Nifemi.
State House correspondent Femi Akonde live for us from the presidential villa. Good to see you, Femi. When we